you want to achieve any goal in life, the number one skill that you must have in your toolkit is problem solving, okay? If you do not know how to problem solve, you will not get to your goals, okay? So how do you actually problem solve, okay? So today I'm going to go over the 4 steps of problem solving that will help you fundamentally solve any problem, okay? So let's get into it. The first step to problem solving is understanding the problem. The second step to problem solving is designing a solution to this problem. The third step is implementing this solution. And then the fourth step is reflecting if this solution actually solves the root cause of the problem. So let's go over a sample problem that I recently implemented in my life, okay? So my problem was that I had a massive Instagram addiction, okay? I had to first of all understand that this was a problem, understand that this was affecting my way of living and how I was doing things in my life and how it affected me negatively. That was the first step to going about solving this problem, was to first of all understand that I had a problem with Instagram and I had a problem with my phone and I needed a way to solve it because it was not good in whatever I was doing in my life, right? It was preventing me from doing all the things that I wanted to do, right? That's clearly a problem. Okay, so I had to first of all understand that it was a problem and I had to accept that it was a problem, okay? Like sometimes you can just ignore that something's not a problem, right? But that's not how we're gonna get going in life, you know? We have to understand that there's a problem and we have to accept that there is a problem here and go about solving it, okay? And so then the second step I went on to doing was that I thought of a few ways that I could go about solving this problem, okay? I made a couple of thoughts and I decided, okay, you know what? Let me just set a timer every time I go onto Instagram, okay? So then I don't have to think about it. I can just get off when my alarm rings, right? Or when my timer gets off. That was the second step. I designed a solution to this problem, okay? And then I went on to the third step, okay? I set on a timer before I went to Instagram and then that should have solved the problem, right? Until you go on to the fourth step, you don't actually know if this thing actually solves your problem, right? And so that's why the fourth step is so crucial, is that after I went on Instagram and put on the timer and whatever, I asked myself, did this actually help me solve the problem? Okay? And I did this over multiple days, multiple trials, okay? Did this solve the fundamental problem that I was having in my life with Instagram? I came up with an answer that was pretty obvious and clearly it was no, okay? This did not help me solve the problem, okay? So that means if this didn't help me solve the problem, then I still haven't tackled the root cause of the problem, okay? So then I went back and I did this process a couple of times, right? Until I designed a solution that actually worked, right? I decided that I'll just delete Instagram off my phone and then I tested it out and I reflected and I realized that this actually did solve the problem, okay? So in this way, if you have any problem in life, you gotta follow these 4 steps of problem solving, okay? And it doesn't even have to be a life problem. It can be any problem in general, okay? There is a lot of names for this strategy of problem solving. Some engineers, some designers, some people would call it the design process. Some computer software people will call it the software development process. So as you can see, there's a lot of names for the same process of problem solving. And until you can get a good grasp on how to actually solve a problem and how to apply the same problem solving skills into other areas of your life, you're not going to be able to solve the fundamental root cause of a problem. So I just want to stress steps 1 and 4, okay? It is crucial that you understand what the problem is, okay? If you don't understand the root cause of the problem, why this problem is actually happening, okay? You're not going to be able to solve a problem, okay? This goes for any business that you make. This goes for any buildings that you build, okay? If you do not understand the root cause of a problem, you're not going to be able to solve the problem, okay? The way you understand the root cause of a problem is by first of all, understanding it just conceptually and basically reading the question. What is this actually trying to tell me, right? And then the second way that you can actually understand the problem is by literally going through multiple test cases a bajillion times, okay? So in my case, when I had my Instagram addiction, I had to go through these steps multiple times before I understood that the root cause of my problem was the fact that I had Instagram on my phone, right? And so in the same way, you have to go through the steps multiple times in order for you to understand what the fundamental cause of this problem is, okay? And that's why step number 4 is also crucial in you solving the problem, okay? Because if you skip step 4, okay, are you gonna understand how your solution is gonna affect the problem that you tackled? Are you gonna understand that maybe this solution doesn't actually work? No, you're not. You're just gonna forget about it and leave it aside. And then maybe 2 years later, when this problem comes back again, you're gonna be like, oh, that solution didn't really solve my problem. Now I have to design another one, right? You have to really take the time to pause and reflect every time you've tested out a sample solution, a test solution, okay? You have to pause and reflect and ask yourself, did this actually solve the problem? Did this actually solve the problem, okay? And this can apply to anything in life. Business, physics, math, engineering, anything, okay? This is applicable anywhere, in your life problem even, okay? Relationship problems. If you do not understand how to solve a problem, you're not going to be solving the fundamental cause of a problem, okay? And it's really evident everywhere that 99% of people don't pause and reflect the fact that maybe that they didn't solve the fundamental cause of a problem, okay? For the design step, there are numerous jobs and occupations that are specifically made to design solutions to problems, right? They're called software developers, they're called engineers, they're called business model people, you know? And the way in which you design a solution is very dependent on what type of problem you have, okay? Because the solution to a math problem and the solution to a business problem or a relationship problem is not going to be the same, right? When you create test solutions, okay, the way in which you create a solution is going to be different depending on the subject area, depending on what type of problem you are having, right? And so you just have to be a bit mindful of that, okay? Because every problem isn't created the same, but every single problem has the same 4 steps in which you can follow to solve it. All the same 4 steps, okay? The way in which you solve the problem is not changed, okay? But maybe the subject has changed, okay? Maybe you're going from relationships to business, and then you're going from business to physics, or maybe you're going from math to English, okay? The subject area might have changed, right? But the way in which you solve a problem, the 4 steps in which you execute this problem has not changed, okay? Because this is the most general case of problem solving, okay? And that's why if you don't understand how to actually solve a problem, if you don't know the 4 fundamental steps of problem solving, how are you going to get to your goals, right? Because if you don't know how to solve a problem, you're not going to be able to get to your goals. Because what is life? What is life? Life is just a bunch of problems, right? If you first of all don't know how to solve problems, and you second of all don't know what type of problems you want to solve, you're not going to be achieving the goals that you want in life, right? So that's why I say that this is the number 1 skill that you must have in order to get to any goal that you have in life, in order to get to any status, in order to achieve anything in life. You need to know the 4 steps of problem solving. You need to know how the problem can be solved, right? Okay? Like, sure, there are different ways that you can create solutions, right, for your specific type of problem. But if you don't know the 4 fundamental steps, if you've missed the first and last step of this process, you're not going to be solving your problems. You see all these things out here, right? You see all these government people trying to do these test solutions to certain problems, right? And then you see this on the news and you're like, this doesn't even solve the problem, right? This is just going to create more problems because they didn't understand the problem, because they didn't take the time to pause and reflect the fact that, you know, maybe there's another reason why this problem is happening. Because if they just put a band-aid solution on every single problem that they have, this problem is going to keep repeating itself until you understand the problem, okay? Life is going to give you the same problems until you understand where this problem is actually coming from, okay? And so now that you have this information, what do you do? How do you go about solving problems better? You just have to do multiple problems in your life. You just have to go through a bunch of problems, okay? It's like saying, how can you get better at math? Clearly, you just do more math problems, right? So in the same way, you just got to go and have the experience of properly going through these steps and getting better at problem solving by just doing more problems. And so what do you do now? Okay, you're watching this video and you're like, okay, Krisha, what do I do now that I know this? Now that I know these 4 steps of problem solving, okay? What do I do? Well, bestie, I got you, because in the description box below, I have a PDF, a skeleton on how you can go about solving any problem in your life, okay? And completely free. Make sure you go and download it, right? And after you watch this video, I want you to go download that PDF, and I want you to think of a problem that you have in your life, go through these 4 steps, and see how it solves your problem, right? and you have to go through it multiple times, because a lot of times your first test solution isn't always going to solve the problem, because every time you run a test case, every time you run a test solution, you're understanding the problem at a deeper level, right? So the next time that you go and do this problem, you're going to be having a better understanding of the problem, and then you're going to design a better solution, meaning that you have a higher chance of you solving the root cause of this problem and preventing it from coming back into the future. So if you liked the video that I made today, consider liking, subscribing, or sharing it to someone who could also find it useful. And if you like the content that I create, consider checking out my weekly newsletter, Glow Up Fridays, where every Friday I share actionable tips, ideas, and habits in which you can implement into your life starting every Friday to glow up your week. I'm Krisha, and I will see you next week.